Hello and welcome back to Continental Club Extra, where we are breaking down more World Cup action. Today, France's 3-1 victory over Poland ended up being a little bit more one-sided than it looked to be at one stage, but 2 goals for Kylian Mbappe, a goal for Giroud, and a late Robert Lewandowski penalty. Had to take it twice because Hugo Lloris was being a bit naughty, stepping off his line. Chris, we didn't have great expectations of this game from a Polish perspective, but actually, I think we were all pleasantly surprised by their performance.
Yes, particularly in the first half. Let's spend some time putting some shine on Poland because I've definitely put the boot in on more than one occasion in this tournament with regards to them. Yeah, I think they started pretty well, actually, more positively than in other games. We actually saw some pressing, which was a new thing for Poland. And it's gone, I mean, pretty heavily reported how stunted they've been in attack, only averaging 6.3 shots per game coming into this. I mean, they put up 7 in the first half, so they made a real contest of it, didn't they, before going behind. They also limited France in terms of, stunting their attack. I think it was 0.9 XG, which against the likes of Mbappe, Griezmann, Ousmane Dembele, creditable, relatively speaking. But yeah, we wanted to single out 2 players in particular, didn't we? Szczesny, more so from a tournament perspective, and Zielinski in this game. So Szczesny, he was making the most saves coming into this game on 5.3 on a per game basis, again in the group stage. Made another 5 in this game. The only keeper in his ballpark when it comes to activity inside his own box, Milinkovic-Savic of Serbia. So he's had to work overtime, Szczesny, to keep his side in this. But actually this game felt like more of a team performance from Poland, not just heavily reliant on their man in the sticks. Zielinski, I think, was at the epicenter of everything they did well in this game. 2 shots, 2 chances created, 3 tackles as well, which was a joint game high with Szymanski and Koundé, who we're going to get onto in just a minute. 81 touches, and there were parts of that second half where he did feel like the most prominent midfielder in the game. Of course, Tchouameni went off midway through the first half, which definitely helped Poland in that regard wrestle sort of control of the midfield. But Frankowski, Szymanski and Kaminski only had 99 touches altogether. That was the rest of the starting midfield. He had more touches than Rabiot, and only Theo Hernandez of France equalled his haul of 81, which showed you he was getting on the ball a lot, showing a lot of character, a lot of courage, and trying to take the game to France. It did not really happen, did it, come the end? I mean, he did miss a huge opportunity when he connected with that loose ball inside the box. It was bouncing around. I think the scores were level at that time.
I think it was 0-0, yeah.
And he just hit it straight at Hugo Lloris, but he did the sensible thing. He opted for power over any sort of placement. He made a decent connection. It was an okay stop come the end. But that did feel like a seismic moment in the game, an opportunity that they missed. But you know what? I'm not going to be too critical of Zielinski because, like I said, I think he gave a very, very good account of himself in this fixture.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was pleasing to see Poland, bring some form, bring some performances to here, because I actually thought they were the weakest team in the group stage of those to progress to the last 16. I think the stats back that up as well. I think they're about 30th for shots, about 30th for shots conceded per game as well. Szczesny keeping them in every single contest, 2 penalty saves. But actually in this game, particularly in the first 10 minutes, I thought they were absolutely excellent. And actually, first 10 minutes of the second half as well kept France's key men quiet. But, Henry, they weren't quiet for long, particularly your boy Kylian Mbappe. What a performance.
We're doing it.
You're doing it.
Killy.
There we have it, the worst moment of our World Cup coverage.
There we go. No, I mean, what a player, isn't he? What a player. Unbelievable. And to think, if he'd started in that defeat against Tunisia, his haul would be even greater going into this game. But yeah, 16 shots versus Poland, 19 going into this tournament. They're just beautiful finishes, aren't they? Because he's left Szczesny guessing. Szczesny can't do anything about either of those chances. I mean, the first one, he shapes up to go, it looks like he's going to go bottom corner and then smashes it into the roof of the net. Second one is just pure power. You can't get a hand on that. And also, must be remembered, he got the assist for Giroud as well. Giroud, congratulations, my friends. Well done.
What a player.
Was it 52? Well, that is an epic achievement. That is a really epic achievement. Lloris becoming the biggest appearance maker. Giroud breaking the goal scoring record for France. Say what you want about Giroud, you can't take that away from him. But I mean, it looks like Mbappe will probably catch him up in no mean time at all.
One Nations League time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, at least a qualification process for the World Cup. But yeah, he's just been amazing, isn't he? Overtook Pele's record for the most World Cup goals before the age of 24. Only Just Fontaine has scored more goals in the World Cup for France. These are serious figures that he's sort of hauling in, and he's so young already, isn't he? I really enjoyed his battle actually down the wing with Cash. I thought Cash gave a pretty good account of himself, all things considered. I think Mbappe was successful with half of his sort of 9 dribbles attempted. It wasn't. He didn't have it easy down that flank, and Cash can take a lot of sort of positives away from that in a big major tournament for him, really. He's had quite the sort of rise in the last few years. But yeah, Mbappe, what a player. But if we just talk about Lewandowski, on the other hand, this 34 now. I wouldn't be shocked if he's at another World Cup for Poland. I can just see him doing it. He's in that kind of physical stature. But it does maybe look like this could be his last one. And I'm not sure if he'll walk away from this tournament thinking he had the best time. I mean, his goal against Saudi Arabia really came from a mistake, and then his goal today came from a retaken penalty. It says that he missed 3 big chances throughout the tournament, not helped by the style of play which Poland's put up, very sort of functional, packing out the midfield. He's kind of left out, isolated up there a lot. I mean, that's what I quite liked about the Zielinski chance. We finally saw the Polish players pushing forward, getting in and around Lewandowski to try and give him something to work off, because we saw him having to go on little dribbles, mazy runs throughout this tournament, which really isn't his bag at all, is it? He's meant to be there in the box, linking with players, finishing. So yeah, difficult tournament for him, just 2.92 XG across the tournaments. That shows he did underperform. But yeah, I mean, Poland, this is their first knockout game since 1986. A lot of encouragement to be taken from that. But yeah, it's all about Mbappe and Giroud.
Yeah, absolutely. And you feel like looking at who could come into this Polish team over the next couple of years. Zielinski at Rome has had a really good time of it there recently. If he stays on the right side of Mourinho, that will be a potential player that could come in. Jan Bednarek as well might eventually replace Kamil Glik, who actually I thought was really good on the night. All 34 years of him as well. So
a warrior.
A warrior.
I love it.
An absolute warrior for sure.
I will say it's a shame that we didn't see more of Milik throughout this tournament, because actually I think he's been playing really well for Juventus this season. It's obviously difficult to shoehorn him and Lewandowski in together because they're quite similar. That's why Piontek doesn't seem to play either. Swiderski, the guy from Charlotte FC, he's been playing up front too. But yeah, I think I'd like to see a bit more of Milik, because he's a natural goal scorer, and I think chances falling to him in the box, he's definitely a handful. So yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah, and I suppose if you play Milik as well, you're kind of carrying 2 players. I mean, Lewandowski in the group stage was the player that spent most time walking in the entire World Cup, which probably says more about Poland's sort of defensive mindset rather than really hammering Lewandowski's work rate. But I thought that was interesting nonetheless. Chris, let's talk about French weaknesses, because either Senegal or England will be looking for them over the next few days.
Yes.
We're not going to jinx it. We don't know who that's going to be.
Yep.
What would you say is the thing that they will take most encouragement, or maybe think, we can target that? Yeah,
doing the Lord's work here, finding a weakness in this French side after another comprehensive win. But I think England or Senegal will take optimism from the fact that Poland were competitive in the first half. And at the end of the first half, Poland actually had more touches in France's penalty area than vice versa, which did show you there were some spaces sort of forming between the various fullbacks and their centre half. And actually, they were a lot more porous when Tchouaméni came off as well. France were really dominant, I thought, from about 45 to 65, and then Tchouaméni came off, and immediately Poland had 4 shots. They hadn't had a shot up until then. And I think Deschamps recognises Tchouaméni's importance. It's very visible, isn't it, the way he keeps taking him off halfway through the second half when the game's been decided, so to speak. But we sort of did identify Koundé as maybe someone that's not world class in his position, because everyone else pretty much is. And while he was fine in this game, he wasn't dominant, let's say. And maybe someone like Rashford or Foden will take great heart from that. So took his numbers down. 33% of his long balls completed, 63% of his ground duels, 67% of his tackles won, and only 50% of his aerial duels. So you can sort of go toe-to-toe with him if you're a physical forward in the sort of aforementioned categories. They're good, but they're not spectacular. It's not dominant, like I said. But then you do have to consider Tchouaméni in front of him, Varane to the right of him. Varane was absolutely superb in this game. But maybe an inkling of something that looks like a weakness down that right-hand side, because he's obviously got Ousmane Dembele in front of him as well, who's not the most defensively diligent. So England or Senegal, left-hand side.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it is like finding a needle in a haystack. Problems with this French side. I'm going to go for Hugo Lloris. Again, it feels a little bit harsh maybe, given everything he's achieved in his career. As you said, equalling Lilian Thuram's record. I think he equalled the most World Cup appearances for France as well, going level with Barthez and Thierry Henry. But over the last few years, we've seen that, yes, he is an excellent shot stopper, but with the ball at his feet, you can harass him, you can harry him, and sometimes his distribution does let him down. I remember in the World Cup final, it was only actually a consolation goal for Croatia, but he made a big mistake in that game as well. And over the last couple of years for Spurs in the Premier League, I think he's conceded about 4.4 expected goals more than he should have, which isn't terrible. But even in this World Cup, it's 0.7 more than he should have. Again, not terrible, but
we're
maybe
looking for fine margins.
We're looking for very, very small
Yeah.
things. Henry, anything else you can think of in this French side?
Well, more so just the style of play. Deschamps, he doesn't have to do anything wild tactically, and I think we saw in the Nations League when teams really go at them that they can be got at. We saw Denmark sort of beat them home and away, didn't we? So yeah, I think Deschamps. Let's not forget in this match we've seen Mbappe basically change the game with a few incredible moments, and he's not going to be able to do that every single time. Certainly against tougher opposition, and I think the longer this tournament goes on and the more emotion that comes into these matches, I just think maybe France's fairly mechanical process that they've sort of utilised successfully, it must be said. I think that will be got at by other teams because it hasn't changed, hasn't evolved loads in the last few years. You still kind of know what you're going to get from this France side. So I think more teams have had time to sit back and really make a proper game plan to try and take them down. And yeah, so whoever does come up against France, I think will have a better idea than 4 years ago when they're a bit more of a sort of intriguing prospect.
Yeah, having said that, I mean, they have kind of, bar that Tunisia game, they've kind of eased into the quarterfinals, and given the injuries that they faced to key players, given the accusations of witchcraft and bribery off the pitch, French Football Federation issues, of course, as well.
Witchcraft.
You know, there has been massive off the field, distractions going into this World Cup, so to ease into the quarterfinals is quite impressive.
Also, although on paper it looks like France have a really seriously deep squad, etc. We saw against Tunisia when he rotates that second side, they weren't really able to do anything. Kingsley Coman, in my opinion, hasn't been very impressive when he's come off the bench in this tournament. So maybe if their front 11 isn't performing as Deschamps is expecting, I'm not sure necessarily that the people they're bringing on will do much in their place. Like Fofana, I don't think that's a great replacement. Sort of an elite World Cup performance.
Okay, there we have it. Guys, what do you guys think? What are France's weaknesses, if any, for Senegal or England to target in the next round? Let us know in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to Eurofootball Daily, and we'll catch you later on. Goodbye.